introduction on the sum and the difference formulas. The second example that I'm going to show you here is going to be the cosine of an angle. So let us start looking at this example, okay? So the example 2, we already did example 1 in my previous video, which was the sine of an angle. It was sine of 15 degrees. Here I have another one which says evaluate or find the value for the cosine of 75 degrees. And we have to use the sum or the difference. Guys, keep in mind, if the problem does not specify use sum or difference, then you can use the calculator. Or if you can identify that angle on the unit circle, just use the unit circle. But here it specifies use the sum and the difference of the angle, so we got to use the formulas, okay? Otherwise, there are easier ways of doing it, simpler ways of doing it, okay? So to get this as the difference, again, you have to look at the unit circle and you have to come up with two angles that are on the unit circle and whose difference or whose sum is 75, okay? So what comes to my mind here is like breaking 75 as the sum of two angles, and I think we can come up with those two angles from 0 to 90 here. So this is equivalent to cosine of 75. I'm going to break 75 as 45 plus 30, because 45 plus 30 is 75, and 45 and 30 are both on the unit circle. Actually, in our last example, we used 45 and 30, but there it was the difference because we needed 15. Here we need the 75, so we just have the sum, okay? So from here, to simplify any further, we just simply have to go to our formula sheet. In this case, we just look at our formula and we use the formula and write it out, okay? So writing it out would be, it would equal to cosine of 45, right? Cosine of 45, then there's a cosine of the second angle. So the second one would be the cosine of 30 degrees. So let's put a degree here. And then if there's a plus, guys, please be careful with this. The sign switch on the right hand side. If there's a plus here first, then we got to use the minus here. If there's a minus here, then you got to use the plus. So that's why I say like this and this formula is slightly different from each other. So please be careful. Again, I'm not saying that you have to try to remember everything right now. Just when you look at the formula sheet, just look at the formula sheet carefully, just so that you don't make any like careless mistakes, right? So there's going to be a minus, and then I have my then there's only the signs, sine of 45, and then I have the cosine of it's only the sines. Then there's the sine of 30 degrees. Guys, let us make sure that this step is correct. Cosine and cosine here, and then there's a minus here, good, and then the sine and sine. Okay, so far so good. Now just simply go back to the unit circle and identify the values for these angles and just write them out. So cosine of 45 again is radical 2 over 2 times cosine of 30. What is cosine of 30? Cosine of 30 is radical 3 over 2. You can look that up on the unit circle, or you can try to remember it. Maybe later I will also show you a technique how to find these like without looking at the unit circle. But I mean, most of the times I think you will have access to the unit circle. If not, guys, I'm going to show you like a technique to actually evaluate it. That's what I learned when I was in I don't know if 11th grade or whenever, like I learned that technique, because we were not allowed to use a unit circle. So we had to like kind of figure out techniques and kind of remember a lot of information. So obviously when you have to remember tons of information, you have to kind of figure out tricks and techniques and ways to remember this. Guys, I must mention here that one of the ways to remember a lot of information is like when you keep on practicing and using that more often, then it kind of sticks with you. The other way is like you have to be smart and try to figure out methods and techniques to remember stuff, okay? So let's go back to this, completing this problem. Then there's a minus sine 45 is same as cosine 45. It's a radical 2 over 2. Then sine of 30 degrees is 1 over 2, 1/2. So let's simplify this. Radical 2 times radical 3 is radical 6 over 4. And then minus radical 2 over 4 as well. And you can combine the numerators. So it is, actually we had the same answer for, we had the exact same answer for the previous example where we had to calculate the sine of 15 degrees. But I mean, it's not a coincidence. The thing is like sine of 15 is same as cosine of 70, because if you look at your formula sheet again, there you will find an identity which says sine of any angle is the cosine of 90 minus that angle. And similarly, if you have to find the cosine of an angle, is the sine of 90 minus that angle. Okay. And that is the reason why you get the same answer for sine 15 and cosine 75, because if you add those two angles, you get a 90 degree. It makes a 90 degree. Okay. So guys, this is example 2, and in the example, in my next video, I'm going to talk about an example which involves the tangent of an angle. Okay, we'll use the sum and the difference. I have not written here. In the formula sheet, you will find a separate identity involving tangent. Guys, my suggestion is not to use that, but to use something simpler than that, which I'm going to show you in my next video. Okay, till then, practice the sines and cosines, and we're going to look at the tangent in the next video.